their work in accordance with the relevant legislation, and he must not overreach. He is, in a sense, misleading the population here.
Speak your mind. Defend your country. Call in. Numbers to call: 869-669-7312. That's 869-669-7312 or 917-460-2187. That's 917-460-2187. On target here on 2020 Vision Radio every Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. On target. Be a part of it. On target.
So I'm your host, Kelvin Daly, and I thank you for joining us once again.
Join the conversation.
I looked at it on Facebook and I read the speech, and I'm trying to find out what is the commitment to renal failure in Nevis, and I'm yet to find it.
Be a part of the debate.
What he needs to do is to allow the people to do their work in accordance with the relevant legislation, and he must not overreach. Because when he makes those suggestions, he is, in a sense, misleading the population here.
Speak your mind. Defend your country. Call in. Numbers to call: 869-669-7312. That's 869-669-7312 or 917-460-2187. That's 917-460-2187. On target here on 2020 Vision Radio every Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. On target. Be a part of it.
Let us put our hands together for Pupa Wheeler.
Suicide bomber, boy. Bring it up to shout for me. I want them to roar, roar, boy, roar for me. Anything you want, you go get, boy. I'm mixing up the soca with some Hindi and some rumba, chutney and lavandera. ID no necessary, boy. Whisker lips a mercenary. Bring it up to shout for me. I want it to roar, roar, boy, roar for me. Maintain your impulso, total zombie and beater. Take it away. local fans decreasing. By the numbers they keep dropping. Nobody don't shout no more like they used to shout before. Boy, these grunting fans they crumbling about promise songs, fail on delivering. Start song and can't finish it. It's standard English, singing stupendous nonsense. Why don't you sing a song and again? Tell me what happened to me fair share when the money disappear. Ooh yeah, boy. Stewardship in question here. Bringing them to shout for me. I wanted to roll for me. I'm gonna be rocking down the complex. Yes, if they don't call me king, boy, I do me like the doctor, placing their campus suicide bomber. Bringing them to shout for me. I wanted to roll for me. I'm gonna be mashing up the complex. Yes, if they don't call me king, boy, I do it like the doctor, placing their campus suicide bomber. Boy, bringing them to shout for me. I wanted to roll for me. Anything you want, you go get. Boy, I'm mixing up the soca with some Hindi and some rumba, chutney and la bandera. I didn't know necessary. Boy, we got lips of mercenary. Bringing them to shout for me. I wanted to roll for me. Maintain el impulso. Todo zombie and Peter. Boy, take it away. Airlines, see preacher, see taxi, bringing them to shout for me. I want them to roar for me. You don't know, you got to spend big money if you wanna win monarchy. I go got the diaspora. 420 in my corner, boy, share the life, boy. Press like, subscribe, sharing. All here the diaspora's king. Your king go be knocking down your airport, knocking down hospital walls, training geothermal. Let the Jewish people sing the song. These Hebrew boys don't understand. Begging them to load for me. I wanted to roll for me. I'll be rocking down the complex. Yes, if they don't throw me king, do it like the doctor, president, campus, suicide bomber. Bringing them to shout for me. I wanted to roll for me. Anything you want, you go get. Yes, I'm mixing up the soca with some Hindi and some rumba, chutney and la bandera. I didn't know necessary. Please got lips of mercenary. Boy, bringing them to shout for me. I wanted to roll for me. Mantiene el impulso. Todo zombie and mira. Take the momentum. Everybody is welcome. Thank you.
Papa Wheeler.
Good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of On Target. And as usual on a Saturday afternoon, I am your host, Kelvin Daly. And in studio with me is the man Tulu Weeks. And thus far, Danny has not showed. We still having some issues with our cameras. We appear to be frozen, and for some reason or the other. Tulu is moving, but I am frozen solid. I don't know why. Keep having these issues. I have to move Tulu's camera a bit. Let me try something different. Let me see whether I can use the wider angle lens and have it done that way. Let me try that. Ooh. Still frozen. Let me try this one. Still frozen. I don't know if our technician is able to do anything about it. We've been having this issue for some time now. Tula, wave your hand. Let me see if you're moving. You're frozen too. Or you're not moving. Well, we will await the technician to see whether he can do anything about it. I know he's probably listening. Nevertheless, you have an image of us on the screen, and is a never-ending set of issues when it comes to our programming here on 2020 Vision Radio. But let me say special good afternoon to all those who have joined the conversation here on Target. And if you are on the FM dial, I'm not certain whether we have back the YouTube as yet, but if you're on the YouTube, good afternoon to you. Definitely you're on the Facebook feed. Even though it's frozen, you can still see some image of us. And let me say good afternoon to my good friend here. Tulu, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Dr. Daly. Good afternoon to our viewing and listening public. Again, welcome to another On Target program. Please call up a friend, a neighbor, somebody who you know do not like the program. Ask them to listen. For sure, they will find something that will educate them and make them better persons.
Okay. All right. I'm going to switch to the Facebook feed so I can at least see some imagery. All right. There was quite a bit to talk about today, so let me get started here. Today is the birthday of two very special people, and one of them is a lifelong friend, Marvel Nichols, up there, Libert, I think it is. Marvel Nichols, everybody knows Marvel, up there in New York, in the Bronx, to be exact, and she's celebrating today. And then we have Orlean, and this wonderful lady is being greeted by none other than her sister, Olivia David. And so Olivia is sending birthday blessings to her sister Orlean, and so I hope that you do get this blessing from your dear sister. All right. So we have two celebrants that we have yet to sing for, and I think we're going to take care of that housekeeping matter first. Tule, have your singing voice ready?
We'll try. Make a joyful noise.
Make a joyful noise unto the Lord.
And you know I'm going to say
Amen
hallelujah to that coming from you.
I hope persons are tuned in and locked in because, it's going to be a blast today. So if you know somebody who has not yet tuned in, give them a link. Make sure they're with us today. All right. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. And as usual from us in the studio, may I live to be 101 and us 101 minus a day. So we don't have to see you go. May God continue to bless you with good health, strength, and of course, wealth. By way of notice, we have our dear leader will be on Freedom on issues on Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. And that will follow her broadcast on Monday evening here on 2020 Vision, the usual time. And so she'll be appearing twice next week to share the good news of NRP's ascension into government. And of course, you will be invited to call in and send in a text or whatever it is to greet her and make sure she feels right at home on Freedom FM St. Kitts 1:30 Wednesday. All right? Good. Thank you very much for that. And we have announcement, St. Paul's breakfast, St. Paul's constituency breakfast, NRP St. Paul's constituency breakfast to be exact, will be on Saturday, usual place, Bucko Park. We should be there around 6:30, ready to serve your breakfast. And as usual, I'm always begging for the poor people of St. St. Paul's.
It's okay.
All right, so if you feel generous, the last time you gave significant amount of breakfasts and we were able to distribute to needy families, please feel free. Even one breakfast is $20. It is for a good reason, good cause. There are people out there struggling. I'm telling you, when I tell you struggle, they're struggling. All right, so dig deep. Whatever you can send, whatever you can give. If you see me on the road, sometimes people see me on the road and just chuck a $20 in my hand and say, this is for the party or for the station. And we do appreciate that. Sure. Believe me, it goes a long way.
Every cent counts.
Every cent counts. So if you feel so inclined, please give us a link up. Give me a link up. And we can certainly make sure that persons, at least for this breakfast, get something in your tummies. All right? Okay. So that's next week, Saturday the 29th. And all those persons who have been donating or contributing in any way to our New to You sale, we have had 3 for the month of March. And they have been wildly successful. Persons have been generous in giving clothing and items, household items that no longer need. And persons have been appreciating the discounts and prices and, sharing love across this community. We normally gather either on the apron by the post office or by the apron of the old customs building. And so I think this is the first time I think this Saturday we didn't have any, but certainly after the breakfast. After the breakfast, the following week, we were back out there doing what we need to do to bring a little bit of joy to the community. And we all recognize the difficulty families are facing in this guava crop time. All right? Yeah, okay. My good friend Danny just walked in and dropped his bag on his desk like he owned the place.
He's part owner on Target.
He ain't part owner nothing.
No part owner.
Not even me. We're all visitors.
We will talk about the program itself, not the studio.
You don't own nothing. Me don't own nothing. You don't own nothing. You own something?
Yeah, man.
Good afternoon, Danny. How are you, sir?
Good afternoon. I'm good. Here joining yourself and Mr. Weeks in the pursuit of educational awareness.
I like that term.
That is absolutely necessary. Just to make one point, Kel, the cricket stars Michael Holding, Courtney Ambrose, and Viv Richards, they're very concerned about cricket in the Caribbean, having given their all, and they say they agree with the financial rewards for players. But he thinks there's a need to consider the whole idea of the team and the West Indian spirit and West Indian nationhood, and that you're playing for a nation, West Indian nation. They are worried that with franchise cricket.
I don't need to cut you off, but sometimes I wonder the context at when you start out to talk these things.
No, I'm going to the context now. I'm going to the context now, and then I'll turn back over to you. The context is there's a money culture now in the Caribbean, and so the money culture is affecting everything. Politics,
true.
Everything.
All
That's
right.
what I'm saying.
Sure. Okay. I appreciate that.
That's what I'm saying.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Health tip for the week.
Not dead this week.
Who died this week?
You went funeral Thursday.
I think we got a break this week. I didn't hear if anybody's passing.
Or went funeral Thursday.
The only death I heard of, I think I heard 2 persons lost their lives early this morning in accidents in St. Kitts.
Oh,
that's all I heard. Yeah,
well,
that's all I heard.
Well, condolences to those wonderful people on St. Kitts and the families who are grieving, of course, from 2020 Vision Radio, and specifically from here on Target. All right, we seem to be having more than our fair share of traffic fatalities since the year began. And I mean, here on Nevis, I'll tell you something. Here on Nevis, we have some of the worst considerate drivers. They do the strangest things. You know, sometimes I get home. Listeners, let me tell you something. I hate to get into town. I hate going into town. And when you see me come back out of town, I am so thankful that I made it out alive. Because the ridiculousness of drivers on this road. People that see me on the road, I say, boy, Daddy, you see me waving to you? I ain't see you.
Watching the road.
Are you watching the road?
Mind where you're going.
You understand? Mm-hmm. I have been driving now for how many years now? Since I was 17, I had my license.
Really?
Right? And I'm telling you something. I've been driving in Nevis since 1991 when I came back home. 1991. Never had an accident.
Never caused an accident.
Never caused an accident. People
Praise
run into
Lord.
me. One guy ran into me. Because I do not steer. I do not glare. You could have the nicest body as a woman walking in from my vehicle. I don't see you.
You see the road.
I see the road. And only the road.
Spared my life.
Right?
That's a lot of concentration.
I'm telling you, it takes a lot. And with the ridiculousness I see people driving here on Nevis, even coming to the studio today, the bus, there's a passenger bus, a higher bus in front of me, coming down. The bus stopped at the bus stop just across from Horsford Valley Mart. And then proceeded to stop again by the roundabout, and then again by the gas station, and then again by Rams. My God. I have vehicles putting the red signal and turning left.
True.
The police have been giving people tickets right there in the strip between the titty bars up there by Grove Park, all the way down to the old Best Buy. And the minute they move those cones,
same thing happened.
the people gone right back to park. And so, you know, trying to get into town, you have to wait behind a line of cars patronizing these titty bars and patronizing the shops along the side there. And there's ample parking across the road from that. And that really gets my goose. It is terrible. And so I suspect what I would recommend to the police to do, listen, put a prominent camera there with a license plate, with the ability to take license plate, and just start issuing tickets by mail.
Send the bill in the
Send
mail.
it to them.
Send the bill in the mail.
It is ridiculous. It is intolerable at this point. You know, but anyway, I did not greet my people who made podium today. Let me do that now. I was so, like I had that stored up. Let me say good afternoon to Charlene Jeffers over there in St. James. Girl, you are number one today. You've been creeping up. On St. Gates, my number one fan down there, Doll Penny, number one. Number two, Lydia Paris, number three. Ivor Henry up in Georgia, number four. Lucilla Webster, number five.
And Donald, please.
And Donald, okay.
Lucilla goes with Donald Kill.
Cecile Hobson is in the house. Iona Door over there in Bath. Jessica Lewis down there in St. Thomas. Colin the Architect Walters is with us. So is Carlos Vanterpool. Ruth Hale, Joseph Brooks, my dear sister-in-law, Jean Louis Daly is in the house. And Olivia, your lovely sister had a birthday today. Olivia David. Earl Mascal is with us, and so is Oral Joseph. The Queen of Rollins, Annette Morton, is with us. So is Norma Jean is with us. Am I saying that right? Jean. Okay, Norma Jean. I gotta bite off my tongue for that one day. Norma Jean. August Washington is with us, and so this lovely lady Ingrid Daniel Farrell up there in Virginia.
The IDF.
And then Janet Grell Hall over there in Low Ground Estate, she's with us. Elvis Leslie, Muriel Brown, Lorette Wharton, Ruby Walters, and my good buddy down there, I guess he's in Florida, George Morris, Ruby Walters, I have seen that lady in a long
George
time.
Morris, you guess he's Florida, but you know how George...
He moves. He
those
moves.
50 states in the United States, I believe George has taken in all of them already.
I haven't seen Ruby in a long time. I hope she's well. Joya Walters is with us. So is Drexel Barton, and Kitchen King has fallen hard along the leaderboard. I don't know what happened to Kitchen King today.
It's a big class.
Mellow Farms is with us, and so is delicious Nichols Brown down there in St. Thomas. And we have Paul Pemberton.
You so want to pronounce it delicious that your tongue
You could
is
say what you
tied.
want. It's my
Your tongue
friend.
is getting tied.
Whatever. Paul Pemberton. Patterson Fleming is in the house. And this lovely lady, Dahlia Wilkinson, met her at the funeral. She says to me, I know who you are, but you don't know who I am.
Delia.
Yeah. If I was 20 years younger, I might have asked a question, you know.
You are still asking questions.
Similar to Jeffers. Let me move quickly. Deacon Owl Jeffers, good afternoon to you. Bumpy Moving, Mule St. Jean, Errol Pemberton, and Gigi Williams Keat. May Rose, the beautiful May Rose Parry is with us. And Loretta Tyson, oh my goodness, so good people with us. Patrick Best Daniel over there in Barnes Gut. Gigi Williams Keat, did I say that? Paula Wallace, beautiful lady. Rosalind Brown and Mervyn Hanley. And who else I have? Sylvester Pemberton, the mayor of St. Thomas's, just signed on. And he's sending blessings to everyone from Sylvester, the mayor. Last class today. Well, we're going to get started right now because we got so much to talk about. And the health tip today is skin. Now, you'll be surprised to know that the skin, your skin, is the largest organ on your body, of your body, in your body, on top of your body, the skin. But it's often the most overlooked. We take it for granted many times. Right? The skin, an average skin on a person is about 6 pounds. Right? Quite heavy. Not the largest, not the large by weight of any organ, but it's large by size. All right? The skin has 3 layers. The outermost layer, what you see and touch every single day, is your, what you call your epidermis. And then below that, you have the dermis. And below that, you have the hypodermis. Hypo, anytime you see the word hypo, it means below. So that is the deepest layer, hypo. All right? So the outermost layer, when you take a shower, you realize you don't drown, right? Because it's waterproof. You don't absorb moisture and you start to sink. It's waterproof. It got oils, it produces oils. And so the oils moisturize your skin. All right? It also produces a substance called keratin, which gives it strength and elasticity. And of course, color. The melanin in your skin gives you color, whether, like Danny now, he got less melanin than me and Tulu. All right? And if you're really dark, you'll have even less melanin. All right? Danny got some kind of red melanin there. I don't know, red. He could stand in this sun for 10 years, he's still going to remain red. All right? The dermis is the where you have your blood supply. That's when you get cut. You see that blood coming out. That's coming from the blood vessels below the top layer. That's also the sense of touch. You have your nerve endings there in the dermis. You can feel and touch. And you have, of course, your sweat glands also there. So, all right? And below that is your hypodermis. And that is your layer of fat cells. And, of course, these fat cells are the ones that keep you warm, they insulate you against the cold. And, of course...
so when you live in England, what happened to your fat cells?
You don't have enough.
You don't have enough. Oh, okay.
I don't know what happened to them. All right, so that is it for the layers of your skin. And I said before, your skin is involved with what we call thermoregulation. It regulates body temperature. You notice women are always cold no matter what. You notice women always, the night can be hot, but they want a blanket over them still. They have more fat per unit than us. But it's deeper, right? Ours is less deep and it's more around the muscles. And so we tend to give off a lot of heat when it comes to thermoregulation. And your skin is also involved in immune response All right, like I said before, you know, it's a barrier against entry of viruses, bacteria, anything, any nasties. It also produces vitamin D, which is basically you need it for not only the synthesis of ergosterols, vitamin D3 and all those things. You also need it to keep your skin nice and supple. And your skin, of course, involved in hydration. Now, here's the issue. Particularly men, and a lot of women too, their focus is only on the skin on their face and on their necks.
That's what you could see.
Right? They do all sort of wonderful, they cleanse their skin, they put on all kind of moisturizers, and then the rest of their body is left to the wind. Right? The skin is your first level of defense, and therefore you must be able to make sure that it is in good working order. So besides just your diet, which is, I like to tell people, a good balanced diet is good for your skin, but there's some things you can do in addition to that in terms of boosting the quality of your skin. Green teas. Come back to green teas every single time. It's full of antioxidants. Sardines, any kind of oily fish, salmon, tuna, rich in omega-3, again, helps your skin remain in full working order. Then you have moisturizers. Now you go to the store. I go to the store and I buy creams, big bottles of cream, skin lotion. But when you read the ingredients, you realize that it's a lot of synthetics, and even though it says aloe included, it's such a minuscule amount, it's of no value.
As you mentioned aloes, Kel, when we were children growing up, our parents would say, you must eat a piece of aloes once a week. It does a number of things, cleanses the system, and in time, you find that it gives you a very good skin.
Well, here what I do. Yeah. When I buy a bottle of cream, or my dear sister-in-law, Trilla, sends them a barrel and have a cream in it, I take that cream out, pour it out into a dish, into a bowl, and then I mix in coconut oil. I will mix in some olive oil. I will mix in some castor oil. All right? And it's up to you how much you want to put in. It's no magic formula. But all you're doing is supplementing what is you already bought. Because in that, what you're buying has in the preservatives already, having all kind of things in it. Stearic acid. Getting some good stuff, depending on the quality of stuff you buy. But what you're now doing by doing this is enhancing the effectiveness of the cream you're buying without adding additional preservatives and all that nonsense. So I put in some coconut oil, I put in some aloe vera, I put in some castor oil, and I use that all over my body. Everywhere, every inch I got skin.
Your lotion?
Start imagining every inch you got skin too.
But the coconut oil as well, when we were children, we were told you could actually just put it on your skin like that.
Yeah, of course.
Put it on your skin like that, and it's good for you.
Yeah.
So what happens here, Kelly, is that what you're saying there in terms of adding these, for want of a better word, natural, you see how we have gone so far off course. So we are now buying things with a lot of synthetic stuff and so on. Whereas if you stay the course with your aloes and your coconut oil and castor oil, you're good to go.
The castor oil is the most penetrating oil there is in the world. If you got any injury and you're trying to get the medication, any kind of topical ointment down into that injury, mix a little castor oil in it. It will carry it right through to that injury. The other day I had a shoulder injury, and I mixed up castor oil with other ointments, and you could almost feel it going straight through your body. All right?
You apply topical?
Topical.
Okay.
For my hair, I use castor oil with coconut oil. I don't use anything but that in my hair. You rub it into your scalp, and it keeps your hair it grows your hair, number one, and really makes it. I'm old, but my hair is almost jet black.
So that's why
you ain't looking after yourself. But castor oil and coconut oil is what I use on my hair, and then I use my special moisturizers down to my bottom of my feet. I moisturize because when you take a shower, and one more thing before I forget, gentlemen especially, when you take a shower, use a wash rag.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go in there with just a bar of soap and thinking you're washing the skin, not doing nothing. Well, you're doing something, but not enough. Go in there with a rag, soap up the rag nice, and use that rag all over your body, back of your neck, back of your ears, down to your toes, all between your groin. Make sure you remove all that old oil, all that old bacteria, all that old nonsense you brought into your house. And then when you come out of the shower, you dry off nicely, and then you cream your body nicely. All right? And that way your skin will look fabulous.
But I look good, right? I look good, right?
You look a little dry.
I look good, right?
You look a little dry.
Yeah, I don't watch, man.
You cream your skin too?
Me? Listen with intent to say I focus on you.
This is a problem with men. This is a problem with men.
That's something I don't do.
You need to cream your skin because that skin is your first level of defense.
Yes, make it strong.
And you have to protect that from any intrusion. Any break in your skin is an entry into your body.
Mm-hmm.
And so that skin there, the ability to heal itself quickly is important. Right?
That is something to think
and
about.
So go by the drugstore, buy a reasonable price bottle of lotion and add in your coconut oil, your olive oil, or your
some
aloe, and you get it done. All right? Even down between on your nut sack. Cream it.
Cream it up too?
Cream it.
Well, you say down to the sole of the foot, sir.
Yeah, cream it.
If you go down to the sole of the foot, then the entire body.
Everywhere there's a crack, put some cream in it. Whee!
Thank you.
Whee! Okay. All right. Okay. You can't say and tell you.
Thank you.
One other thing I must tell you about. Back to the skin just for a second. Black men or black people in general do not get a lot of skin cancers, melanomas.
No.
But when we do get them, they're very virulent. They break up. They kill us very quickly, more than any other person. Be on the lookout. If you are having any unusual dark splotches that is painful in your hands, on your toenails, on the soles of your feet, places where the sun don't shine, have it checked out. There is a cancer called melanoma or skin cancer. That's what killed Bob Marley in the end. He had a cancer in his toenail and his big toe, left it untreated for too long a period of time. It metastasized and caused the cancer to spread into his brain and killed him. He was only 38 or something
36.
like that. 36. All right. So black men, it's kind of hard to see cancers on your skin because you're black. But if you see any unusual growth anywhere like that, on your toenails, on your fingernails, in the palms of your hand, on your toe, on your balls of your feet, soles of your feet, have it checked out immediately. All right. Good.
Thank you.
Good. We had some news from the federal parliament. That the single-use plastic ban is in effect as of March 31st. That means those T-shirt shopping bags that you go to the groceries and they pack your bags and you pack your groceries in this bag. As of March 31st, no more. All right? We now joined 12 other Caribbean countries with this ban or full ban or partial ban of single-use plastics, and 100 across the world who are now moving towards ban of single-use plastics. Yeah, go ahead and say.
You know, Kel, we talk about, what we used to do. Growing up in Cats, you had a bag for bread, and you had another bag for you to buy your groceries. So it was understood. You have these bags, you go to the grocery store, you buy You come back, you wash them. You use the flour bag. You use the big bags from the flour.
But you really from Cox Boy.
Yeah, man, of course.
In town we had bags.
Okay.
We had handmade bags.
Leatherette.
Leatherette bags. We didn't use no flour bag.
No.
Wait, you never had a flour bag?
No.
Or sugar bag, cocoa
No.
bag?
You see,
You missed out on something, man.
No. My grandfather was a shoemaker.
So he made it from the leatherette bag.
He made our
okay.
From the leatherette bags, yeah.
No, I was just saying how it takes us, 50, 60 years to go back to what we were doing, because that way, you have a bag in the house, is the bread
yeah,
bag,
that was a normal thing.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, when I went down to Guadeloupe many years ago, plastic bags are already out of use. This is back in 2000 and a little bit.
So long they banded it?
Yeah, you couldn't. There were boxes that the goods came in, and they were there in a pile. So you want to go, you got to go get a box from that pile and take it. But you're not going to get any bags.
Yes.
I saw Alistair Yearwood tell me yesterday. I forget which country he told me, but he says, listen, when you go to the counter, the bags are there, the plastic bags are there, but it costs you $5 extra.
Yeah.
So it's a deterrent, not through the law, but through finance.
But I think Value Mart and some of the other stores, you was trying to do that on Mondays, you know. They used to say no plastic on Mondays, but if you want a bag, you buy a bag for $1 or something like that. So I have a set of, well, I'm from the old school, so I have a lot of bags, not flour bag too.
You don't have no flour bag?
Well,
you have any crocus?
Huh?
You have any crocus bag?
No, I
used
don't.
to use those too.
Yeah, crocus bag, of course. That's where you bring the cotton to.
No,
town.
the logic behind the ban, of course, they say they're banning these items to protect the environment, including the marine environment, because a lot of these things end up in the ocean, in the seas, right? And I can tell you, this is a fact, because if you go by the dump over there at low ground,
wow,
the trees to the seaside are festooned with plastic bags that blew out of the dump and stuck into the trees. It's like, it's like Christmas decorations on these trees. And the near shore area there, that's offshore there, you see the plastic bags in the water, you see them caught up in the reefs. But here's my issue, gentlemen. This is where it gets difficult for me. Very difficult for me. Now, we are intent on reducing the footprint, the environmental impact of these plastic bags in the environment. And I applaud it. I applaud it fully. There must be a better way of dealing with how we can transport our items. But there is a bigger issue when it comes to the marine environment that we are missing. Now, I like to believe I'm a fisherman. I like to believe I have respect for the sea. I know a little bit about the sea.
You live near the sea, man.
Right? But we have yet, as a federation, to address key issues regarding the health and well-being of our marine species. We are not passing any legislation to deal with protection of not even endangered species, to speak of, but protection of any species. Specifically, why isn't there any closed seasons for lobster?
Fish. But they used to be.
And conch?
They don't have a closed season?
No.
They never used to be.
No.
At all.
No.
What?
We have a closed season on turtles for about 3 months. And let me say point blank.
But don't you say, if you go get a lobster kill, and if it's a certain size, don't you have to throw it back?
No.
Was there some regulation to that?
Yeah, there's size limits and sex and eggs and all that.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
But we have no regulation, no law against harvesting lobster and conch, two of the most overfished species in our oceans. Two of the most. Lobster and conch. We have a short closed season for turtles, and I believe it should be a total ban. I personally believe there should be a total ban on lobsters. I'm sorry, on turtles. I see no need anymore to be talking about harvesting turtles. To eat. Let's take this call. Good afternoon, on target.
Good afternoon, Mr. Daly and Kulu, Mr. Daniel.
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
They have a ban, you know, but nobody they police it.
Which one is that?
They have a ban on the small lobsters, them.
No, I'm not talking about the small lobsters. We know that. We know that you can harvest lobsters with eggs and you can harvest lobsters that are undersized. And I agree with you. The ban, that law is not being enforced. I agree with that.
And the question of the environment, we at 2020, we will endorse the ban because they're messing up the coastline, man. And people is so nasty that when they eat, they just leave these things anywhere.
Okay.
You know, and that is a big concern. You're going good. Keep on batting like with Richard.
Thank you, sir. Right, so in Antigua and Barbuda, in Guadeloupe, in Sabre Station, Anguilla, St. Martin, there are seasonal bans on lobster and conch.
I thought we had one here.
No, we are the only one in this region that have no close season on these particular species.
Or the size for the lobster?
Not for the size. I'm talking about period.
Period ban.
In Antigua, for example, you not only cannot catch them, but you can't sell them. The restaurants cannot serve them.
Okay, that's a total ban.
It's a total ban.
For a season.
Right? And what happens now, the guys from Guadeloupe, for example, they drive all the way from Guadeloupe, come here, buy our conch, buy a lobster, and smuggle them back into Guadeloupe. We are doing a disservice to our people when we don't put the kind of regulation in place to guard against overfishing. Right? There's another issue regarding fishing. We have now what we call these FADs, fish aggregating devices. It's basically you go out in the ocean, deep out in the ocean, maybe 1,000 feet, 1,200 feet, 2,000 feet of water into the blue ocean, and you anchor a buoy with some rope and other attracting devices out there, and small fish aggregate around it because it's like a desert out there sometimes. So when they see something like that, debris in the water, they tend to aggregate around it. That's what they call fish aggregating devices. When the small fish are, the big fish gonna come. What we've had happening in the last 10, 15 years is an over deployment of FADs, principally caused by the fishers that are now operating most of the fishing vessels, the Dominicans from Dominican Republic. Where in Dominican Republic, they are regulated. No fisherman can have as much as they want. They are regulated with the amount, and they have the numbers on them, so we know that the authorities know who owns this one. And when the authorities go out there and see one that is not numbered in their log, it is destroyed. The problem we are having, gentlemen, is this. When these guys go out and come into a school of dolphin, mahi-mahi, because there is no regulation, anything from any size
come ashore. Now,
dolphin are voracious feeders, so you throw it in the water, you're going to grab it. We've come across, when I used to go deep with my good friend, we used to come across schools of small, what we call schoolie dolphin, things that are just about a foot long. Once we realize where we are, we move on, leave them. Because this then is the future of the fishery.
That's the future.
When you go into the pier here, you see these guys come in from the Dominican fishermen coming in here. And the boats, they have sacks, sugar sacks, full of small dolphin. You should not be able to fit more than 2 or 3 dolphin in a sack. Okay. And they're having 15, 20 of them in a sack.
Those are babies.
But guess what? They're full of eggs because they breed early.
Yeah.
So they never had a chance to spawn.
So in terms of the economics of this scale, this is an economic...
It is not sustainable.
It's an economic decision we have to make with regard to closing these seasons.
You have to.
And to police them, because if you don't, you'll run the risk of drying up the supply.
Listen, we were able to 10, 15 years ago just go off Fort Charles and catch dolphin.
Can't do that now.
Can't do it now.
What's the normal size it should be, Kel, for a dolphin, you would think?
I will, 3 feet, 36 inches.
That's about what, 7, 8 pounds or something?
No man, that's about 15, 20 pounds.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Let's take this call. Good afternoon, on target.
Mr. Daly, teach the country, you know. Teach the country. You're so right. It's just December, we see that down here happening all the time. Them Dominicans doing that, and nobody doing nothing. I understand a young man who walk with the fisheries in Bastille. He don't let them turn it back. But we need more officers in the sea to do that. These people come in and just doing what they like because politicians want to vote. When a man tell me daily, when they reach here, all they approach the politician in passport. We want passport. We gonna get passport. And then you right. Teach, man, teach the country, man. When people see them, they call them out. And they're bringing them long basket every Saturday. They bring them long basket. And these vagabonds ain't doing nothing. Have a good day again.
Thank you. Yeah, it is very disconcerting.
So you say a dolphin should be 15 pounds.
Listen, 12, 15 pounds at minimum.
Right.
All right. In the States, different countries.
And that takes how long?
You got a year and a half, 2 years.
To reach to that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right. Let's take this call. Good afternoon, you're on target.
Yeah, good afternoon to the listening public. Good afternoon to you guys.
Good afternoon.
Well, who about the dolphin them?
People who don't know better.
Oh, people who know better?
Yeah.
Well, I thought know better.
Then if you know better, then do better.
So then tell the people them do better. We hear, well, they're not going to wait to bring them in here. But when they bring them, who pay them? Are we still about
But there's no, you see, caller, there's no law against it here. They're selling fish. There's no law against the undersized dolphin. And you, as a citizen, are free to buy what you want because it's not illegal. What I'm saying is it ought to be illegal because it is killing the fisheries.
Well, all right, I agree with that.
Okay, then.
Did you know that?
Yes.
Me know that.
I would never buy, me personally, even though it's legal, I would never buy it.
Okay. All right.
So this program here is to enlighten people. Don't buy these undersized fish. All right? Let them keep them. But the government need to do more. You can't be telling me you're going to ban single-use plastic because you're polluting the environment, but you're allowing the same environment to be depleted of key species of fish.
By overfishing.
By overfishing. We have no marine protected areas in the entire waters of St. Kitts and Nevis. No MPAs, no marine protected areas. Dominica has. St. Bart's has. Statia has.
And
Antigua has. But we ain't got none. So if you're talking about following others by trying to prevent pollution in the environment, follow also their lead in protecting for future generations the species that are there struggling for life. Do that. All right?
Has these discussions ever came across? Or we are just talking about this? I know you mentioned it some time ago.
We've been I was part of a team that were looking at marine protected areas in the Narrows, to the north of St. Kitts, right, up here to Pinnes, and up south. Never got anything done. Because the politicians, they were saying, the people need to catch fish.
So it doesn't matter the size.
But it's an economic decision.
We are doing this service if we believe by having open fishing that somehow you're going to do a good thing. You're doing a bad thing. Let's take this call. Good afternoon, you're on target.
Dr. Daly, how are you?
Good afternoon, sir.
Tulu and Mr. Daniel.
Good day.
Now you're on a topic that I'm very passionate about. Fishing and the protection of the marine environment. I think we spoke sometime and we were talking about the Nevis Island administration having the largest cache of abandoned vehicles, from ambulances to school buses to whatever. But they have them there sitting there gathering rodents and then they're harassing the normal people. If they were to take those vehicles, like I said, get all those oil pans out and whatever, get a badge, go out there and seriously get those vehicles there to develop reefs, then we could really help. And you got a good point. And there need to be some policing in terms of what you bring in. You know what I mean? Because I've seen it, and I mean, that's not good for the fishing industry. It's not good even for things. So when those 12 inches dolphins come in, and like, you gotta be like, seriously. But the Minister for Agriculture has to have a say and has to be able to understand what fishing is about. And if you've never been out there, you wouldn't understand. So you probably need to get out there and understand that we have the resources there. We have all these derelict vehicles. Get them. Get all those oil pans and whatever removed. Get them down in the ocean, and so we can build up some of the reefs.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Now, the idea of artificial reefs is as old as
the hills.
The hills. Here's my problem, and I support the establishment of artificial reefs 100%. We have enough derelict material around to do that. If you don't have it, we can construct using concrete. There are models that are being used in Antigua, for example, in Dominica, in Montserrat. Mm-hmm. They're called them reef balls. All right, where they're constructed, there's a plan. The ocean institutes, they help you get these things done. All right, the problem we are going to have is that once the fishers know where these are, they're going to descend on these areas
because there's no regulations
and overfish them the same way.
Yeah, because no regulations there.
If you're going to establish artificial reefs, there must be what you call in marine protected areas, no fishing, no-go zones. And what they found out in Dominica, when the government of Dominica started these marine protected areas, the Dominican fishermen were up in arms. Oh, you're trying to take money out of my pocket, you're trying to take food out my mouth. And the government said, be patient. What you see, just follow the magic.
Yeah.
The biggest proponent of marine protected areas now are the fishers themselves.
The fishermen can realize it's connected to their livelihood.
Because what happens in these marine protected areas, they're like an oasis where there is no pressure of fishing on them. The fish get to size, they can breed, reproduce quickly and in large amounts.
So they're doing
and fish or any kind of species do not stay in the same area once you get to a certain population density.
They migrate.
They move out into the other reefs.
And spawn.
And that is where the fishers now can catch them. So this nucleus breeding area, called the marine protected area, it is critical. It's a critical component of any marine management plan.
But
otherwise, you are just going to be throwing cars out there in the ocean. Few fish gonna gather around it. You're gonna go and rip them off the same way as everywhere else. You end up with the same problem.
Yeah.
So we have to be thoughtful in our exercise on how we generate a sustainable marine system for our future generations.
Let me ask a question. Does this haphazard approach helps to explain why it's so hard to get fish.
We are depleting.
Yeah.
Because again, you see, when my brother Denny goes fishing, and we pull a pot, and he's very, very conscious of certain things, very, very conscious. And undersized fish comes up, he would be forced to say, throw it back.
Mm-hmm.
Throw it back.
Conscious of
something that we don't need, throw it back. Very conscious. And I'm the same way. If I'm out there fishing and I catch an undersized fish, no matter how pretty it looks, it goes back. Mutton ham, the grouper, hind, butterfish, once it's not a size, it goes back. Some guys just say, go back. The only place is to go in my frying pan. We need to be educated.
Big time.
As to where we are going as a country. You cannot have a ban to deal with plastics on the land and have your marine environment being decimated by overfishing. And you see, the funny thing is, 90% of the divers for lobster come from St. Kitts. They dive in Nevis waters.
Really?
They dive in Nevis waters. 90% of the lobster divers. The conch divers, 100% from St. Kitts. They dive in our waters up here to the south.
So the guys from Jessup and stop diving?
They don't give up the game long time. If there's any divers from conch and from Jessup, it's maybe one or two. The vast majority come from St. Kitts. They travel all the way from Old Road, way up south for lobster and conch. We are one federation. I have no difficulty with that. And my brother Denny once said to one of those divers, boy, Nevis, look how fire, look how depleting Nevis water. He said, boy, I ain't on the waters, It's Nevis. And he got a point.
Yes,
I am not going to argue with that. Yeah. But I would like to see some of those divers themselves self-regulate.
They will not.
Because you see conch coming in, and they're clearly undersized. You see lobster coming in, they're clearly undersized. So we ourselves need to exercise some level of consciousness and say, no, this is our livelihood. All right? It's not an endless supply. We must manage it. We must regulate it. And the government needs to have this, the same way they're going to Parliament to pass legislation about single-use plastic, the same way they need to go into Parliament and pass legislation on how best to protect our marine environment.
You think they have the guts to do that?
They ought to.
Yeah, but the other thing here, Kelly, is this. It seems to me two things are important, very critical things. One, there is need for a massive re-education, A, of the fishermen, and B, of the consumer, so that to raise awareness, let people know, And secondly, I don't think we have spent enough time connecting the fishing industry, to our economic survival and sustainability and so on. We have not.
All right.
So we really need to do that, and do that like yesterday. In terms of the fishermen, Kel for Nevis, I know a long time ago it was largely older people. Do you have...
It's still a mix. It's still a mix. We got some young people, middle-aged people, we got old people like me.
Nah, man, not you.
Yeah, so there's still a mix out there.
Okay.
All right. I came across an article where the government of Barbados, Mayor Motley's government, put out a request to the general public,
cotton,
asking for assistance in harvesting cotton, Sea Island cotton.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. Now that took me by not surprise, but I was pleased.
Me too.
To see that. And they said, listen, if you're unemployed or you want to make extra money, we are asking you to help come reap cotton. And the mentality of some of the persons that responded was so obnoxious. He harking back to a slave mentality, a slave period when you were forced to pick cotton. Right? And it's very disappointing. Very, very disappointing. And I'll tell you why. Now, this cotton cannot be picked by machine.
No.
The type of cotton it is and how uneven it grows in the trees, it does not lend itself to mechanical harvesting.
The combine harvester.
You cannot harvest it with machines. It's a very special breed of cotton developed right in the Caribbean.
The best.
called Sea Island cotton.
Yes.
The staple, the length of the fibers is extraordinarily long.
Yes.
The strength of the fiber is extraordinarily strong.
And the quality.
The subtleness, the feel is like linen, silk. We got a call? Oh. Yeah. Good afternoon, on target.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
You're talking about fishing.
Yes.
You see the young people won't take up much of these things with the Japan of the older folks. I remember when I used to go back here. From the bridge, go further down with the train supermarket, fishermen. Arville, Swap, and all kind of man from Nevis. Fish used to come so much that people in Kedan don't have to go back to look fish. Some of fishermen come from Nevis, my age, and I live in Kedan, I born in Kedan. And in the Macra, you could start in Kedan and they see. Come and come in the back. When you put it on to Moko. But I know not that I wish I had more people. That people not like before. I let a shoot fish not like before neither. A whole heap of things I don't know. By everything change and I come from all of Dominica and Guyana and all them there. You see when we go to market, man I sell fish with more oil and them. And all kinds of something. Them I do down there, so you get more sour fish. A whole heap of things them I do your own area. Our government slack, our government them slack. Okay.
Thank you. All right, so what Dominic, I think Barbados is the last remaining country that produces cotton, Sea Island cotton now. It used to be a federation of islands, Nevis and St. Kitts, well, Nevis,
Montserrat,
Antigua,
and Barbados.
And Barbados. 4 islands.
Actually, they had Wissinko, West Indies Sea Island Cotton Association.
Yeah, based in Barbados.
But you know, I heard merchants say some time ago, Kel, that in 1956, Nevis produced 1 million pounds of cotton.
I won't doubt it.
Nevis. And then I was running a workshop some years ago with a gentleman from Jamaica. And he was looking at developing cottage industries and so on, talking about cotton. And he says that based on the technology, and you were just mentioning the quality of the cotton, he says that the Japanese guy says, look, we would pay anything for the cotton.
Well, I'll get to that.
No, just to say that, he said that 1 pound of quality cotton from Nevis, Montserrat and Barbados, because of the technology they have, you can make 6, so they buy up the pound of cotton for their time it was about $8. And then he said you make 6 100% cotton shirts from a pound of cotton.
Wow.
Which they sell for $100 on the international market. But can you want you part of the agriculture?
Well, I'll get into that.
When we
you're not so excited, you won't give me a chance to talk.
No, I was just...
I'm speaking from knowledge, too.
Yeah, but, you know...
You never plant cotton, right? Because you're from town.
Let me finish the presentation.
I want to ask you.
Did you ever plant cotton? I never planted cotton.
No?
Never.
There are some things that get Hensley excited.
Yeah, cotton is one.
And you have to put on a leash on him sometimes because he gets ahead of himself.
No, go ahead.
All right, so I was saying that the Belgian government has issued a clarion call for persons to come and help harvest the cotton because they recognize the importance of having a cash crop.
Of course.
And there are persons in Barbados who are using the cotton harvested in Barbados to produce value-added products in Barbados. No longer do they have to export all of it to Japan or wherever else, to Switzerland or wherever else.
That's good.
All right, so they do have an industry there. I met several people in Barbados who do that. All right. Now, when I got to agriculture in 2006 and examined what was going on there, we had no cash crop to export, nothing. And in my view, agriculture must be seen as any other business. It's not a hobby. It's a business. All right? And it must be treated as such. It must be financed as such. It must be regarded as such. It must be regulated as such. It must be given the kind of inputs to make it survivable in an economic environment. All right? And so we look back at what do we have the technology to do at the ministry. We were producing onions for the local market, right? and we'll produce onions, and we can't get them sell because unless you put a ban on import, they want a competitive in price.
They're right.
80% of the entire onion crop spoils before you get to market, right here on Nevis, because we didn't have the facilities to properly dry it and store it. 80% was lost. All right? When you look at the mathematics of it, the money part of it, you were selling a bag of onion, 50-pound bag of onion, for $50. $1 a pound. Not economically viable based on the inputs you put in. You can't make back any money. And so based on that idea and the idea that we needed a cash crop to generate income not only for the government, but to sustain the Ministry of Agriculture, we went into cotton production. See, the same Sea Island cotton production. We got seeds from Antigua, the breeding station. Antigua is the recognized breeding station for cotton. They maintain the cultivars, right? They, I don't know if they still do, but they maintain the cultivars. So if you need the seeds, you go to them and they will give you seeds or sell you seeds. I don't know if that's still the case. But anyway, long story short, we planted cotton. And for the first crop of cotton we harvested, we got 2 tons. It wasn't a big plot. 2 tons of cotton. And we sold those 2 tons of cotton to the Japanese even before the crop was grown.
Of course.
When the check came, it came in US currency.
Oh, yes.
$96,000 US.
What?
For the 2 tons of cotton.
Before you planted?
Before it was planted. So it's a guaranteed market.
Yes.
The Japanese came to Nevis because they saw the quality.
The quality of the cotton.
Of the cotton we were producing. You tell you, it was like silk. We had the cotton analyzed in Germany. The German people who did the analysis wanted a piece of the action.
Of course.
Because they saw the quality of the cotton and wanted to know, well, how will I get this? Because it was better than Antigua, better than Montserrat, better than Barbados.
Yes.
So they wanted in. When we got the report from Germany about the quality of the cotton, we sent the report to Japan. And we told the Japanese, we want an increase in price.
Yes.
So we went from $15 a pound US
yes.
to $17 a pound US.
Wow.
You understand? With that money, we were all able to develop what you call now the fruit orchard down there at New River.
Yes.
It is I.
Yes, I know.
Who brought that place to life because it was on the bush. We took our bulldozer down there, we cleaned it off, we fenced it, we plowed it, and we planted our cotton down there. Away from everything. Right?
Wow.
We had a situation with the cotton ball weevil eating to the bulbs and defecating on the cotton, discoloring the cotton, lessening the price. We contacted a company in England who did what they call sterile male pest control. Basically what it does, you breed a bunch of boll weevils, you sterilize the males in the millions and you release them in the environment. Those sterile males then outnumber the intact males, and so when the female boll weevil mates with a sterile male, offspring are not happening. We had the people already set to come here for £70,000. Agreements done signed for them to come to start the sterile male program. We didn't get anywhere with it because the government changed. As soon as the government changed, that Kulumono,
the first thing,
Kulumono Zook,
cost.
Oh, they plant cotton.
Cost.
People can't eat cotton.
Cost.
No. Why you going with cotton? Cotton is slave work.
I remember.
And let me tell you this. You know how many people we employed picking cotton?
What do you mean?
I think 6 farmers used to go pick cotton too.
Everybody look money.
Groups from churches.
Yes.
Elderly people from Bahat, every part of Nevis.
What do you mean?
We go down the afternoons or whatever time they had.
Afternoons and weekends.
And they go down there and they will pick the cotton, they bring it up and we wait and we log it.
Pay them.
We pay them $1 US a pound to pick cotton.
Because you're making 18.
Because you're making 18.
Of course.
You pay them $1 a pound. Right? I'm going to tell you something. At the end of the cropping season, guys are walking away $20,000, $25,000, $30,000.
Just for picking.
Just for picking cotton.
Not planting and weeding.
You hear what I'm telling you?
No.
Just for picking cotton.
Because there were people who were telling us to expand the cotton production. But can you make a point about the price with 18? I remember going on I was on the same plane with Mr. Evelyn. He was the First Minister of Agriculture in 85, I think.
That's Art Evelyn?
Yeah. He was going to Barbados and he was saying to me, man, I'm going to Barbados because we're meeting with the Japanese. We need a little more money for the cotton. Mm-hmm. At that time, the Japanese were offering $3 a pound.
Okay.
$3 a pound in 1985. And we went to government in 2006. 20 years after, the price had gone 5 times.
Let me tell you something.
So
right?
There's a viable market for the cotton based on what you can do with cotton.
We had a cotton gin, down in the river.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right? That we used to gin our cotton and bale our cotton.
Yes.
If you go there, you cry.
And get our material baled up and ship them out.
Of course.
All right? And the Japanese came here to Nevis. And we took them down to Indian Castle. And we said, gentlemen, if we had irrigation down here for the entire field, we can double and triple our harvest.
Mm-hmm.
They said, yeah. Write up a proposal, which I did.
Of course.
I wrote the proposal, sent it to Japan to them. They sent back a check equivalent to 100,000 EC dollars
to begin the process.
To put in irrigation.
What?
We hired a company from Jamaica. They came and they put in the design the entire irrigation system with pumps, underground submains and mains. We had it all. Just acres of drip, especially for the cotton harvest. After I left, they stopped planting cotton.
Yeah, boy.
They got on some guy that had down there burning trash, and the trash fire got away from him, burned up every single line down there. This is the stupidness of this government. This is the idiocy of this government. We didn't have to worry about picking cotton. People were asking, how can I join the program?
25,000 after harvest.
No, community organizations and so raising money.
We call it now the Pathfinders.
Pathfinders, yeah.
Used to come down there and pick
cotton.
The church group from there by business got that church up there.
Yeah.
The Wesleyan church it is?
No, Church of God.
Church of God. Yeah. Individual people used to come and pick at their pleasure.
Yeah.
Because once the cotton is right, it's not going to spoil.
And
all you don't want to do is to blow, it gets so light it blows away. But we always had enough manpower. So when I saw this thing from Barbados, I said,
look how we were.
Look how.
We were ahead.
I said the very same thing to
We were ahead, and that is why when we have a program like this, we need to text the people of Nevis need to understand that we were ahead. Already way ahead.
Then let me ask you a question, because one of the arguments that the former agriculture minister made in disbanding cotton is that he's going to be planting fruit trees and make a whole lot of noise about the fruit trees, the orchard.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Has that orchard produced any revenue for the people of Nevis?
No.
So cotton was producing money. He banned cotton, degraded cotton for his orchard. And you're saying that orchard had not produced, brought in a cent into the treasury?
That orchard has sucked up more money than you can think at. If we had that money that he spent to make sure he can have an argument against cotton.
People behind a source up photo?
Listen, what Zook did to the cotton productions, the program, and what he did to the fisheries complex, One and the same.
It's not he alone. What the CCM did.
All of them.
All of them.
All right. It is treasonous what they did.
Yeah.
All right.
Can you imagine where we would be now?
Well,
about how many acres we had on the cotton at time?
We had 50 acres.
50 acres.
50 acres down there. We had a capacity for 90. We did 50.
That is the same plot of land that you built the change room and what's not down there?
We had change room, showers, everything down there. Toilets.
Of course.
I put them in.
Yeah.
Can you imagine you making money and you come back towards
we cleared off 90 acres because we didn't want to interfere, and this is all virgin lands, we did not want to interfere.
The cattle grazing lands.
Not the cattle grazing lands, but the fruit, the vegetable growing lands at New River, Potworks, Cates. We didn't want to interfere with that. So we opened up new lands, 90 acres of new acreage that never,
Indian Castle.
at Indian Castle, that never had fruit production or any kind of production before. For a long time. Maybe they had before I was born. But certainly,
all that manure from land.
90 acres was opened up. And
50 was yielding the kind of money you're
talking about. We were on 50 acres. And even with the 50 acres, we didn't even full out the 50 acres at any point. We lost quite a bit from the boll weevil, and that's why we brought in the program to deal with the boll weevil. And so it was a work in progress. Right? I mean, it is a sad thing that you have such myopic leaders that they see agriculture not as a business but some sort of vocation.
Or maybe it's just because we did it and it was making sense to just stop it.
Okay, we're moving on because we have tons enough time on that. I want to touch on this one.
Because it's as simple as it is. You generate your revenue in Nevis on the backs of the people of Nevis. Pay your VAT here. Pay your corporate taxes here. We're not concerned about getting back no X amount from St. Kitts. What we are concerned about is that same non-tax revenue that is generated from the sale of our passport, we say, well, give us our fair share out of that. If it's 20%, give us. If it's 26%, give us. Let us get what is rightfully yours. I am not too fussed about any pooling of anything. And I'm going to say this to the NRP. Those days are long gone. We left them back in 2013, and there's a reason why the people left you there too. Because that can't make any sense. What sense it make to take up your VAT money, send it to St. Kitts, go through an administrative process, and then by the time it's ready to be sent back over, all of your bills are piling up at the treasury, Back in the day, the NRP was late paying people's salaries, because why? They were sitting down there in the treasury waiting for the monies to come back. By the same token, persons who were providing services to government had to be waiting because they said no money there because they're waiting on this money to come. Meanwhile, things were so bad then. Those old ladies up in Stony Grove, down in Hanley's Road, up in Fountain, had to catch bus, run to town in the hot sun to make sure they paid it $200 at Nevlec, at water department, whatever they owe the government in taxes had to run in because the government was on their case because the finances that they were waiting for from St. Kitts just wasn't coming in time.
All right. And, hold on there. Good morning, folks. I'm here at the residence of former Premier of Nevis, J.W. Parry, and I would have shared with him a video recording of what the former Minister for St. James, Alexis Jeffers, would have said about VAT. So if anybody knows about what transpired during that period of time, it would have been this gentleman here in front of me. Good morning, Mr. Parry. How are you, sir?
Morning, I'm pretty good, thanks.
Yeah, you would have listened to the commentary by Zoom Jeffers regarding the VAT sharing. What are your thoughts on that, sir?
I was very disappointed because the whole thing is a total misrepresentation of what took place. If I may say this, the business of the VAT was discussed between the Nevis Island administration and the federal government, and we decided that we were bringing in an organization from the Eastern Caribbean, CARTAC, to work out an arrangement between St. Kitts and Nevis. And when they met with me, I brought to their attention several things. One, that a lot of businessmen in Nevis don't order directly, but order through agents and St. And so the VAT would be paid by the agents in St. Kitts and not by the Nevis operators, businessmen. And that also many divisions go to St. Kitts to shop. And so we needed to take all that into consideration. And they did. They worked out a formula. But what I must say is this, that the monies that were collected in Nevis went straight to the Nevis Treasury. So the money collected in Nevis went to the Nevis Treasury, the money in St. Kitts went to the St. Kitts Treasury, so the VAT money in Nevis went to the Nevis Treasury, the VAT money in St. Kitts went to the St. Kitts Treasury. And then at the end of the month, there was an accounting process and a reconciliation, so that having pooled the amount of VAT collected in Nevis plus the amount of VAT collected in St. Kitts, they then used the formula to determine what balance should come to Nevis. So at no time was any VAT monies collected in Nevis went to St. Kitts. As Minister of Finance, I knew that. At the end of each month, the reconciliation was sent to me, so I knew what we were collecting. And Cabinet knew what we were collecting. Cabinet knew what we collected in Nevis and what balances came from St. Kitts. The permanent secretary of finance knew that. And the permanent secretary was Larry Lawrence. And he was also the permanent secretary of Vance Amory before my administration and after my administration. So Vance Amory knew. His government knew. They lied to the people of Nevis. They misled the people of Nevis for political reasons, but they knew. And they continue to mislead the people of Nevis. Basically, I see it this way. They made a fool of themselves, and they made a fool of the people of Nevis. And they continue to make a fool of themselves, and they continue to try to fool the people of Nevis because they don't have the courage to come forward and say they did something wrong. They do not have the courage to say how much monies they have lost over the years, Nevis money that was not collected because of their own folly. And so they're now trying to come through the back door to try to have a new system to collect the money. That was with theirs in the beginning. But through petty politics, through manipulation, and through the fraud of the people of Nevis, you have lost millions of dollars, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars you have lost.
So this idea that the VAT that was collected in Nevis was sent to St. Kitts, and at some point we could not pay our civil servants, it's pure joke.
It's a lie.
It's a lie.
It is a lie. The VAT money was paid into our treasury.
Because he said that the former minister said it with such believability.
Well, you know, Mr. Jeffers, I'm surprised that Mr. Jeffers would speak with such confidence. I really did not expect that of him. And I'm very disappointed in him that he would say a thing like that with such confidence, knowing it is not true. Very disappointed in him. Didn't expect that of him. And maybe he should ask himself, why is he saying that rather than Mr. Brantley?
The Minister of Finance
The
himself.
Minister of Finance. Why is he saying it? Why did they put him to say it? Because they didn't want to say it themselves? He needs to ask himself that question. Is he being used? I don't know.
Yeah, when I listened to the tape, I was actually flabbergasted because I would have worked in the ministry, and I know that I would have worked in what you call the revenue collection centers, where VATs were collected, monies were collected to make sure we can pay our bills. So for him to say that civil servants were at a disadvantage in Nevis,
absolutely not.
Yeah,
absolutely not. You know, Kelvin, I have never boasted about myself before, but I did a double major at university. Everybody thinks that I specialize in history. I specialize in economics. And I did a full course in monetary economics. And I did a full course in public finance. And I also did a full course in Caribbean economic problems. So I came prepared. When I came back home, I came prepared to work in government. I didn't expect that I was going to be premier any day or one day, but I came prepared to work in government. And I knew what I was doing. I was not guessing. I wasn't playing games. So let me say that now, that I knew what I was doing, and I would have never made any kind of arrangement like that.
Well,
I could not make an arrangement.
Good morning, folks. I'm here at the residence of former Premier of Nevis, J.W. Parry, and I would have shared with him. I don't know why this thing didn't go to completion. Let me try to use this one here. It doesn't have his face on it, at least. Good morning, folks. I'm here at the residence of former. Good morning, folks. I'm here at the residence. Good morning, folks. I don't know what's going wrong with this thing. It's not loading properly. Anyway, he basically would have contradicted everything and debunked everything that Zook Jeffers said regarding how the VAT was shared. Zook contended that for some strange reasons that the VAT collected in Nevis was sent to St. Kitts and then sent back to some diplomat, to some administrative, real garbage.
Let me say something. When you set out to tell a lie and you say that the public servants couldn't get paid, the public servants are in Nevis still, you know? So it's easy to tell whether that is true or not. And I am just very, very, very worried about adults who keep telling lies to be able to make to score political points. I remember a number of the people who were involved in the formation of CCN tell me, boy, lies work. Up to last night, someone was telling me, boy, lies work. People are liars. People have to tell lies. He said to me, look, the number of lies you guys have to deal with coming from CCN, all you couldn't deal with the number of lies because every day was something. Look at what you have here now, saying that we send the money to St. Kitts and that the money come back. I mean,
this is a matter that has been spoken about on several occasions. This is not the first time Mr. Parry spoke about that. Carl Powell spoke about that. We discussed this matter. It's a clear-cut lie, and they knows that. Mr. Parry spoke about he's disappointed and surprised at the utterances from Alexis. I was not disappointed. I am not disappointed. The thing is, Mark Brantley has so corrupted the CCM party that he has made the members of the party twice the liar that he is. The Bible speaks about an individual going about and making one disciple, corrupting that disciple and make that disciple twice the child of hell as they are. This is a classic example of Mark Brantley. And I think that he is now satisfied that around him there are people who are more diabolical in telling lies than he is at the moment. I would have said that there's nobody, and there will be nobody who will tell lie more easily than make them up, as Mark Brantley does.
Right. So
somebody convince me otherwise. But let me say here, Dr. Daly, that Alexis Jeffers is one of those individuals who I consider a fool. And those persons, a fool has no delight at all in understanding and speaking the truth. All they want to do is to utter what is in their hearts. Okay, and this is a classic case of this guy. He knew that he was telling a lie, but he has no desire of understanding the facts, even though they're out there in the public for all of these times, has no desire to understand the fact. All that he's interested in is to tell a lie, to try to dirty the reputation of the Nevis Reformation Party. But the people of Nevis knew. When you talk about Nevisians couldn't get paid, twice it happened since our independence, and it happened twice under the system government. Twice it happened. No, I think the first time it happened under NRP, but Van Sammy was the permanent secretary then. Okay? Under Simmons. It happened one time, and we are told that that happened because the warrant that was supposed to be submitted for the funds to come over, Vance, as the permanent secretary, didn't send it down. So, for one time, the payment was late. The second time it happened under Vance administration, when he changed the permanent secretary close to the end of the month, and again the very same thing happened. The thing didn't go down. Never happened outside because of the VAT issues. And he knew better.
Good afternoon, you're on target.
Hello?
Yes, good afternoon, you're on target.
Yes, good afternoon.
What's on your mind?
You're probably going to get them right now. Alexis is a bully. He's been a bully since he was born. And yes, sir. Okay, give me a second. I remember in 2007 when Winfest came on board. At that point, NRP was in government, so, you know, it just happened to be that way. And as a part of the committee, I said to everybody, because we had a mix, we had CCM, we had NRP, I said, listen, let's send a letter to Alexis, let's send a letter to Patrice. Both of them who were contesting the St. James seat, I said, we don't want it to seem like it's a political thing. We send the letter to Patrice, we send the letter to Alexis. Patrice said, listen to me, whatever capacity you want me to serve, I will serve. Alexis came back and said, if he's not in charge, he doesn't want to have nothing to do with this. And I'm out.
Thank you.
All right. Now, here's a dilemma that CCM finds itself in. Dr. Bartlett has been taking the fight to them on this issue of VAT for some time now. She has calculated all the figures. She would have presented them on your voice with NRP, and we have rebroadcasted them on Tell Me. I was trying to get a message to her today for her to share those numbers with me, but I was unsuccessful. But suffice it to say, when she did her calculation from 2017 until 2023, she was finding out that on average, we were losing something like $30 million a year from failing or having pulled out of the VAT arrangement with St. Kitts. Perhaps, and I figure I kind of understood her calculation. They're pretty much accurate. So what Premier Parry reflected on is that we would have lost tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars.
True. Because
of this folly and their inability to come back and say, listen, we made a mistake. Let's start over. Let's go back into the negotiations. Let's have a conversation. So they're trying all these backdoor moves, which doesn't amount to anything. You understand? St. Kitts is in a much better position than we are economically. It's a fact.
Has always
It's
been.
bigger. They have more businesses. Other the businesses that operate in Nevis are registered on St. Kitts. They have a satellite on Nevis, yes. All right? And so it makes sense to have come back to an arrangement that benefits Nevisians. The arrangement is constitutionally protected. 74-26. 76-24, sorry. 24% for Nevis, 76% for St. Kitts. That arrangement was agreed on through negotiations. But here we are, in 2025, and Alexis Jeff was talking garbage. Let's take this call. Good afternoon, you're on target.
Yeah, good afternoon, Daly, and good afternoon to Tolu and to Hensley.
Yes.
Good afternoon.
I'm not sure if anybody made this point as yet, but one of the things that I think when Alexis was speaking on that, I think one of the things that he wasn't thinking about is how the economies of St. Kitts and Nevis are intertwined. I don't know if you all realize that a lot of Nevis people do business in St. Kitts. St. Kitts do business over here as well. So that basically is enough basis for bad sharing. When the economies are so intertwined, you have companies that are in both islands and stuff like that. You have people going over and, going to and from doing business in St. Kitts, shopping in St. Kitts, and things like that. The economies are basically intertwined, and I think maybe sometimes we forget that, because I think when Alexis was looking at it, he was saying, "Oh, Nevis should keep their VAT to themselves and St. Kitts keep it." No, because of the intertwinedness of the economies and everybody basically, the economy is basically mixed. I think the only fair way is to go about it by sharing the VAT evenly. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right.
Now, here is the situation. That was all part of
the discussion.
The discussion.
And the arrangement.
And the arrangement to come up with the formula.
Yes.
And that is not lost and Alexis. What they did was purely political.
Purely political.
That because remember they were trying to fight an election in 2013. All stops pulled out. And so one of the emotional arguments was that NRP sending the money to St. Kitts and getting back the money. Right? And so it was a political decision. They knew. But they needed something to excite the Nevisian population. And they needed to throw some blood in the water.
And they got them excited.
Red meat in the water. And so it worked.
It worked.
And what was the consequence of that? We lost hundreds of millions of dollars.
The people get poorer.
And now he's balling that they want back that money.
No, they don't want back the shit. They don't want back
the
pooling,
What
they're saying is the same line that Brantley is now putting out there. That businesses that, even though registered in St. Kitts and doing business in Nevis, they should pay the VAT on Nevis.
But it works out to be we're still going to lose.
You're going to lose. There's not enough of that.
That's true.
I think
the only thing that would work, if you swallow your pride, Mr. Brantley, and go back to the initial arrangement and tell Nevis people, I made a mistake, we made a mistake, it wasn't my government. You can blame it on Vance, because Vance is the premier.
He was a part of the discussion.
But he can blame it as normally he does. He blames everybody but himself. So he can gladly say, boy, it was Vance's idea and I didn't agree with it. Let's take this call.
Applaud yourself.
Yeah. Well, nothing new about that. Good afternoon, you're on target.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, sir.
You know the sad thing, right? Is that simplicity is often best. And the VAT arrangement that had been negotiated by Mr. Parry, it was simple, it was easy to track, it was incredibly easy to comprehend and understand, and because they had regional expertise, it was fair. Now, the CCM went and said, well, we want to keep all that money. They send it down on to St. Kitts. And they start to lose millions of dollars per month. Now they come in and they want to introduce some complex manner of tracking VAT and who buy what for who, and where they buy it and how they buy it, and maybe they buy it and maybe they keep it, and a complex can of worms to replace something that was beautiful in its simplicity. And you know what the biggest problem is with adult human beings? We find it very difficult to admit that we've made an error of judgment, an error of whatever. We find it very, very difficult to admit that we're wrong. Big men can't do it. Small children might be able to, so maybe we should put some small children to run the country.
All right, caller. Thank you very much.
the original thing, guys. When we were growing up, what a tangled web we weave.
When first you practice to deceive. All right, so we're moving on because we got quite a bit still to cover. The NASPA board has been
disbanded.
No, has a new chairman. The NASPA, Nevis Air and Supports Authority, is a statutory corporation that manages our air and seaports. All right, so he has a new chairman. The minister responsible for NASPA is the premier himself. And so he picked long-time business person and a decent guy, Mr. Mackie Truss, to chair NASPA. And he of course used to chair NEVLEC board. He used to chair NREI board, Nevis Renewable Energy International board. He has a good sense of business. He has a good sense of business purpose. And I remember when he was at NEVLEC, Zook Jeffers fired him. And he didn't even know he was fired. Because Jeffers didn't have the temerity, the balls, the guts to tell the gentleman that he was fired. So, as Mackie relayed to me, he had to go look for Zook to find out if he was fired. Because he was hearing he was fired. All right? And Mackie is not the kind of person you're going to control easily. I think he's
independent.
He's independent. He knows what he wants to get done. And I really wish him well because he has proven himself to be an independent thinker most of the time, as far as I know. All right? Of course, he's a party stalwart for CCM. That goes without saying. But I tend to trust his judgment a lot more than, the former chairman or acting chairman. Right? Now, the problem I have, and the problem he's going to have, is the rest of the board. Because the rest, 4 or 5 of them couldn't add up to one.
But they're red meat people.
Of course.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
I'm just asking.
The new addition to the board is Lemuel Pemberton. Lemmy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I used to work with Lemmy. He was my director when I was a PS. He was my director for fisheries. And to describe him as antiquated is kind. I don't know what they're going to do with he. Right? We have a gentle lady, Donnella Keynes. She's on the board. She was, of course, the person who nominated Brand in 2022. So you expect these political appointments. Mm-hmm. All right? I don't have a competence in terms of managing any ENC ports or advising on that. I can't testify to that, but she is on the board. Then you have the lifeguard down there at Penny's Beach, Tessan Dannett, a lifeguard down there at Penny's Beach. He is on the board.
But he's a sailor and a sea captain as well?
Well, right now he's a lifeguard.
No.
Right? The only person of any substance I see there is the young lawyer, Joanne Fleming Williams. She's not married, Williams. She is the daughter of Pastor Fleming.
Oh.
All right? So she's on the board. And former messenger for Superfoods, Lincoln Libert, is on the board. But he's been there forever. All right? He used to be the driver for carrying groceries for Superfoods and all in places. He's on the board. Mm-hmm. And there's a young lady, I don't know who she is, Kishara Libert. I have no knowledge of her at all, so I can't even comment about anything about her.
Yeah, but Lemmy is a trained mind, so he should be able to give some guidance.
I've worked with Lemmy. He can't give guidance about nothing. Okay?
He's a trained mind, Kevin. So
He is my
give him the benefit of the doubt.
You could give anybody a benefit you want. That's you. All right? I'm more pragmatic. That's why people take advantage of you. Because
no. You give him the chance. Let him prove himself.
I gave him the chance.
No, not on the board. Let him prove himself on the board.
Boy, listen. Don't start me up.
Okay, go ahead. There are two different poles.
Here's my difficulty. If you want a board of action, if you want a board with a vision, if you want a board to execute the mandate of NASPA, this is not it. This is a board that will say to the minister, yes, sir, no, sir, how high, sir.
Right.
Let me finish.
Very good.
This, to me, is a dereliction of duty by the ministers of government. Stacking these boards with party loyalists does not solve the issue NASPA is facing. NASPA is in debt for millions and millions of dollars because they fail to invest in activities that generate real income.
So who financial persons on the board then? Anybody there with
I call all the names.
Nobody there from
You say give Lemmy a chance.
Yeah, well, I know him. We used to teach together, so that's what I know. You know your experience.
So you would put Lemmy on the board?
No, I'm saying your experience with him is different. So
we're not watching turtles, you know. The problem in NASPA over the years, it has been politically dominated by people who cannot envision what the mandate of NASPA is. That is why you have no commercial ramp for boats to come in and out. You have no marine refueling. You have no moorings. You have no marina. You have nothing. And so what they do, they tax you $5 to leave from Awali. They want the taxi to walk onto the pier to collect luggage. They tax everything because they have no vision to create standalone industries that can generate real income. And I can't see from this board how anything will change. You're trying to tell me in the length and breadth of Nevis
that's all you could come with.
That this is all you can come up with? Persons who are going to be loyal politically to you and not be able to say, listen, we need a 10-year and a 5-year strategic plan to move this corporation forward. They are supposed to be leading on the airport development.
So,
just as Casper led on the pier, second pier in St. Kitts.
So the skill set is missing, totally missing.
Let's take this call here. Good afternoon, you on target.
Mr. Daly.
Yes, sir.
So when you're telling the people I think it's Nevis, over there ain't got a ramp for the whole land.
No, we don't.
Oh my God, boy, this fella needs to go.
Nothing.
I mean, you put people on board who could execute and bring money into the corporation, you know. That is what a board is all about. Some financial head, somebody who could be behind the wicket to stop the ball from going for wide.
Thank you very much.
That is what you need. People who could do things.
Thank you very much.
Party havers.
Thank you very much.
Nevis young people, I clean up this, you know. Because I clean it up last year. And I give me help over there. Come on, go.
Thank you, sir. Let me tell you something. There's a gentleman who I have utmost respect for. He used to live down in the BVI for copious years, many years. I know he don't want me to call his name, but I'm going to call his name.
Walters.
Wycliffe Walters should be on that board.
Yeah.
He's retired, but the knowledge in this man's little finger is more than knowledge in the entire board. He knows what needs to be done, where it needs to be done, how he must be done.
Marine business, he knows.
All right?
He knows.
You got people like Colin Paris, who've been sailing the seas.
He knows.
Bright, from a classmate of mine and ours. I used to get licked from him in school because Miss Andrews would take him for me.
So you get licked for
I get licked for he.
Just
because when Colin leave the class, he take off his tie. I was a prefect, me could take off my tie. But he take off his tie walking down to him other place by Howell there for his lunch. And Miss Andrews can pass and see him and take his me.
And beat you.
And give me.
No woman take
I
him
never rat him out yet.
No woman taking for you.
That's good.
No.
Okay.
That's good.
All right? But the point is, there is enough brains in this federation here on this island of Nevis. And you don't have to be a trained sea captain.
No.
You must be a leader. You must understand leadership. You must understand the vision and how do you accomplish that vision to get what you want done. All right? I mean, how you gonna, how?
No,
how?
but somebody needs to be there who understand accounting and finance and development and things big time. Yeah, man. So, who could lead the business part of the thing? Okay.
So I mean,
the board, isn't the board supposed to be able? You mentioned about the mission. I don't know. I haven't seen it for a long time. But the board, isn't the board supposed to be able to chart new waters, to put the company into making money?
No.
And people with vision to see what's going on.
Not with
if you're on a board, if you've been on a board since 2013, and you have no record of accomplishment, what the hell are you still doing on the board?
Your politics.
But what is not there to accomplish? We are looking at the.
But then it goes again that these ministers of government are negligent in their responsibilities. They are guilty of dereliction of duty to the people of Nevis.
All the way through.
They should be they should be found guilty, and there must be change in our constitution. That when you have these situations, people who need to be approved by boards must go through a process, either to the Public Service Commission or some other body. You cannot, as a minister, be allowed to put Tom, Dick, and Harry, pay them every month simply for their vote and produce nothing. This is shameful. This is absolutely shameful. And if you look at all the board system has, but there's Neglect Board, Solid Waste Board, Land Housing Board, it's the same thing. It's like they say, listen, Zook, you take one, Mark, you take one, Fencer, you take one, and you up the take one, and together they put them on the board. And all political appointees, all political soldiers. How does this advance the development of Nevis? How does this enable NASPA to do what they're mandated to do? How? When you have this sort of nonsense.
But it's not what you have to understand, Dr. Daly, is that this administration or this political party is not about what you're saying there. You look at the track record from the beginning. You're looking at the best mind to run your country. Hensley Daniel, social services, go through the door. Dr. Daly has proven over and over that when it comes to agriculture, cannot be touched. Experience. Not only that you have the book knowledge, but you have the experience. Did that, done that, go through the door. You just go down the line and look at the people with the brain, with the ability to move Nevis forward. For CCM, go through the door and then put somebody to replace who is a party loyalist, who is going to bring in a vote. That is all about.
There's a gentleman from Butlers by the name of McLean Hobson.
Or Sat. Yeah.
McLean Hobson, one of the brightest minds I've ever had a conversation with. Anything marine.
He was in charge of the marine thing.
Yes.
I think it's,
he's a Butlers man.
Church Grove and Butlers.
Right?
Yeah, Sat.
Why isn't he on the board? If you want growth and development of the come on.
If you want.
If you want.
But then we should not be talking about government for the people and all this nonsense.
But can you mention something? You know, in the US, you have to have a confirmation process. You're saying that something
they need to be confirmed.
Something needs to say, and then when you're confirming them, you could say, look, you've been on this board here for the last 10 years. Why should we put you back there? Tell us what you've done. What new ideas you brought to the process.
That is not
We're not ready. We're not ready for this because the politics are going to lead.
It cannot. Listen, when Dr. Hodge becomes the next premier of Nevis, there'll be a seismic shift in how we do things around here. There must be productivity and accountability. All right? You cannot be sitting down a board like a bump on a log, get paycheck after paycheck after paycheck, whether you turn up to a meeting or not, from the people's purse, from the people's money. and produce nothing. So are we paying you so you vote? It cannot be business as usual. It cannot be business as usual. And any NRP soldier out there who think they're going to simply walk through a door and go on a board, I tell you something, you're going to be disappointed. I'll tell you from now, you will be disappointed.
There is always a mix, Kel. What you need to have on a board.
A mix of what?
You know, you have a mix of talent, mix of experience, and mix of party supporters. You can't.
I don't.
No. You can't say. No, you can't say.
Don't tell me what I can't say.
No, what I'm saying is you want to have a mix of people. When you look at a board, you must be able to say, this board here has the capacity. That's all.
Qualified people.
I don't want to hear not more than mix of party supporters. I do not want to hear it.
You know,
because we can't be criticizing CCM and do the same damn thing.
No.
There's
you
enough
have party supporters who know what they're doing.
Well, say that.
But do party supporters who know what they're doing?
You see, you're your old politician. Me not cutting to a lot of shit. You know?
No.
Let's take this call. Good afternoon, you're on target. Good afternoon. The person gone. Good afternoon, you're on target. Hello. Okay.
No, the important thing is that you have party supporters who know what they're doing. That's all you need.
Well, I wouldn't even call them party supporters. Once you are qualified, you do your work. Yeah. That's all. Good afternoon, you're on target.
Yeah, good afternoon. I agree with you. But not just the board, not just the members of the board, you know. These people got people all about the place that sit down, you know. And I collect money every week, every month. That's what thing. Not just these people on the board. There's a whole heap of them. And these people got to open their eye and see what's going on around them. These people making us more poor than where we are. We got to get rid of them. What we are waiting for? It's been too long. The longer we stay, and the more poverty we get in. We need to get rid of these people. Good afternoon.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, we got to move on because we got, we're behind the ball here. The other DJ then coming in and looking at me strange. So we got a couple more things to discuss before we go. I want to go back to this one.
Administration, that is, in fact, back in 2023, we would have purchased some lands. Forgive me. We actually did that purchase in 2020. That's when we did the purchase. I just want to be accurate. I'm looking at the document here to indicate that that purchase, in fact, it was filed in 2020, but the transfer was actually done in 2019. And that was some purchase of some lands at Bath Plain. I've heard a lot of chatter about this purchase. I want to assure the members of the public and the members of the press that what we purchased at Bath Plain was an acreage, and I will tell you exactly how many acres now. 12.7088 acres of land, and that was purchased from an Ursula Huggins, also known as Ursula Huggins Whitney, and we paid the price of $1 million for that 12.7088 acres of land. It covers, of course, from the Bath Cemetery up the hill and into Bath Plain itself. There was an old abandoned property.
I'm going to stay there. I just want to get the figures out to you. 12.7 acres of land, they paid $1.2 million US for it, and they said it was a good deal. Here's the problem. Number one, and I discussed it before, they didn't pay $1 million US for it because the property was in arrears for taxes. All right? So they paid, when you do all the calculations, they paid nominal, the rate for it up there where it is about $8 a square foot. That's what they paid for it. Okay, fine. That's not the issue though. The reason I went back to this is for you to hear from him himself, the premier himself, when the property was bought. You remember what he said, Tulu? 2020. Why am I hearing echo in your phone? Oh, okay.
Paid for in 2020.
2020.
Yeah.
2020, paid for. 1 million US. I would like the Premier to tell the people of Nevis, why is it that the memorandum of transfer has not been done?
Up to today?
5 years later, why is it that the memorandum of transfer has not been filed?
Was the money paid?
He said the money was paid.
Yeah.
I believe the money was paid. Why the delay?
But I thought in the comment that he made there that transfer was done in 2020.
They paid the woman for the land. The land has not been registered as belonging to the people
NIA.
of Nevis
To the NIA.
for 5 years.
How come?
The question is why? Does somebody have the eye on it?
Ah.
You remember what the Premier said the ministers would meet to decide how they're going to dispose of it?
How much you going to put in the cemetery?
How much you're going to put in the cemetery and how much you're going to leave out in the cemetery?
But why after 5 years you haven't gotten the transfer? Why? Who else wants to buy it? Who else is offering a better price? Why if the... But, so Kelly, you say that he says, are you say you believe him?
Listen, whether I believe him or not is irrelevant.
No, but you say...
Whether I believe him or not is irrelevant. The fact is, the title is not registered.
Yeah.
Don't miss the bigger point.
No.
If he say he paid a dollar, hey, he paid a dollar. It matters not. The issue here, Lord Hensley.
Okay, go ahead.
It's the transfer, the title, registry.
I want to go to the land registry and see for myself how much was paid. He said $1 million. He said they paid $1 million US. On the memorandum of transfer, it will have exactly how much was paid. I ain't gonna rely on him for that.
No.
Why should I rely on him for that? That should be your question.
Title.
But yeah,
show me the title. Show me the memorandum of transfer that says on behalf of the government, we bought from Ursula Huggins 12.7 acres, and this is the cost per acre. This is the cost total.
And this is the title.
And this is the title for it. The memorandum of transfer is the truth, because you have to. The court have to. The registry have to.
We say it is not in the registry.
It's not in the registry.
After 5 years.
After 5 years. So, Mr. Premier, next time you get your press conference, one should be coming up soon. Make sure by then you can bring that memorandum of transfer to the people of Nevis to show them exactly the transaction that occurred when you bought this land up there at Huggins. All right? That's all I got to say about that.
You're going to say why that has not happened.
I got my ideas, but me don't nobody sue me.
No, just your idea.
You were going to say why? What? Tolo, if you buy a piece of land from a man up in Brown Hill named Mr. Webb, after 5 years you don't have your transfer? What do you think?
Something is wrong. If I pay for my,
you tell me you pay $50,000 for the land. And I said, Tolo boy, I would like to buy the land from you. Since you now buy it from Mr. Webb in Brownhill.
And I don't have the title after 5 years yet. Yeah. That looks like I didn't purchase it. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. Like, but daily, I am saying that the reason why the reason why you haven't received the title yet, and it's officially documented, because maybe 15 degrees west has an interest.
Well,
that's all I'm saying.
If they have an interest, put it out there. They want to buy it. Put it to the people.
Because suppose you buy it for $1 million and somebody want to buy it for 5.
17 degrees west cannot buy it when it was purchased for the people of Nevis. Can't.
But if the government can sell it.
They can sell it.
Good afternoon, on target.
Good afternoon again, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, sir.
I would like to explain the process of purchasing a piece of property. And everybody listening, if you're buying a piece of land, this is what should happen. The payment, the final payment, the full payment for the land passes across the table, and the seller passes over to the buyer a memorandum of transfer. If they do not do that, you haven't purchased the land. You're just giving them a gift of some money. Okay? So now once you have that memorandum of transfer, you give it to your lawyer who will be dealing with it. The lawyer will take that, lodge it in the registry, and the new title, the old title will be cancelled, and the new title will be issued in your name. So no lawyer worth this sort would make payment for land without receiving a memorandum of transfer back from the seller. Okay? And therefore, if they don't have a memorandum of transfer, I very much doubt they paid for the land.
So you're doubting the Premier when he said they paid $1 million US for it?
Well, he's a lawyer. The only other explanation is they're holding on to the memorandum of transfer and not registering the title.
That's what I think is happening. I think they have alternate reasons to hold on to it. I really believe that is the key. You know, they have not put it on the registry because they have plans for it. Their own personal plans for it. It's a beautiful piece of land. You're aware of that?
I can't believe that.
No. All right.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I can't believe it.
All right. Thank you. Yeah.
So Daly is saying that we can't put nothing past these people.
Listen, these guys, they're not easy. And the mere fact the Premier can go back into the record and know how much he paid for it and the size of it tells you they have sight of it. Right? Why they have not registered it? That is where the question should come from. Why they haven't registered it?
You have an answer.
Yeah. So
you have an answer.
So there was a joint cabinet meeting on Monday between the NIA and the feds. And one of the key things that came out of that meeting, unofficially of course, was a discussion of what pertains with the land going from Low Ground all the way to Indian Castle. And it appears that the Premier would have made a pitch to the federal government for a CBI project for that entire span of land, over 1,000 plus acres. This is what I'm hearing. I was not there. I wasn't in the yard. I was in the yard listening.
You was not in the yard.
I was in the. I was not in the. I wasn't in the cabinet room. I was in the yard. And so the word that came out is that the Premier of Nevis made a pitch to the federal government for a CBI project, which encapsulates the entire span of land from Long Point, from Low Ground to Indian Castle, some 1,000 plus acres of land. And that, of course, will create what you call a sovereign enclave, where Nevisians probably need a passport to go into, because an enclave and a sovereign enclave simply means they are law unto themselves.
Yes.
All right? Now, what I'm also hearing is that if landowners in that area are unwilling to part with their land to this development, then the government will do what you call a acquisition.
Compulsory.
A compulsory land acquisition.
For public purpose.
For public purpose. It's only meant now for a public purpose. But the government can easily go into parliament, they have the votes, and change the ordinance to say any purpose. In which case, you know, all those persons who are holding out, selling their land to the 19 degrees north, or whoever they be, then you may have a dead case on your hands just now. What concerns me, gentlemen, is the fact that lands owned by the government are substantial, going from this area called Stockpen into Indian Castle.
And Indian Castle, about 500 acres.
There's a lot of acreage inside there. So if the government is intent on selling those lands, I don't know. They haven't said it yet, but it is something to keep your eyes on. All right. Moving on quickly, with last thing for the day, we are way over time, and I beg the DJ a few more minutes while we go through this, and it has to do with the Pinnish Beach development. I will say to you that I had a conversation with the Premier, former Premier of Nevis, J.W. Parry, and he said to me, listen, the whole idea of the Pinnish development down there on the beach was to empower local Nevisians to be a part of the development agenda for Nevis, especially in the area of tourism. All right, so the distortion the distortion that is now happening was not the intent. Is not the intent. Or was not the intent. Because he shared with me that 4 out of the 5 present vendors or vendors that came to the beach were brought there by NRP. He said Randy's was brought by NRP. Double Deuce was brought by NRP. Sunshine was brought by NRP. And Chevy's was brought by NRP. Now, 2 of those have now been leased out to other vendors, but that's fine. All right? I have no argument there. There's one remaining spot in that entire front. And Nivisions have been clamoring for it because it was intended to go to a Nivision. When Premier Parry and Henry Daniel and Carlisle Powell and all those guys were in cabinet, this was the intent. To make sure Nivisions own that properties or have access to those properties to make a living. It has now changed significantly. And so I did a video, which I will share with you. Lovely Pinnis Beach area. And Randy's in front of me, Weekends on the far end, Sunshine's the very far end, and a series of bars coming up on the beach side. But the story of interest is this spot. This is the guard booth, or what is supposed to be a guard booth, not much to it. If you peer through those windows, there's not much inside there, not even a desk. But it is this spot, this remaining spot, that it seems to be in contention. I know for a fact that a number of Nivisions have been applying to the government, to the Tourism Authority and to Tourism Ministry and to the Premier himself to get access to the spot. But of course, he has the final say, and from what information has reached me, he has decided to give it to the owners of Yachtsman Grill. And of course, Yachtsman Grill owners also control Queen City restaurant and bar right there in Charlestown. And so it seems as if that the locals, the local divisions, do not stand a chance with this government. It proves, if this is correct, that the Premier has made his bed, and his bed does not include providing for locals to be a part of this development. It is just another example that he is not for us. He's for everything but us. And so while he speaks about empowerment, I ask the question, well, who exactly is he empowering? Is it the locals or somebody else? From all the indications, he is empowering anything or anybody else but Nivisions. It is just one of those things that you have to shake your head and say, Lord have mercy, how much more can Nivisions take of this government, of this man, who will sell Nevis from right under them? I'm also learning that the land that was, that Queen City restaurant was built on, was sold by, and owned by, and sold by the Premier of Nevis. If this is true, you can see quid pro quo. You scratch my back, I scratch your back, listed all over that. So this is the guard booth. This is the area that will face the excavators and the backhoes if all goes well, and the new owners, the new operators will be another set of expats who already have more than their share of Nevis. The example has been set years ago when Housing and Land built and leased out that property over there, owned by the persons of Weekends. And so the model has been there. If the government felt that those persons who didn't have enough cash to build on their own, then there is a blueprint set years ago where the government could have built the property and allowed Nivisions to operate from it, just to make sure that there's a footprint of locals here on Nevis that will get a part and parcel of this development down here at Pennis. Randy's is down there on the beach. He has cabanas on the beach, and as I move forward, you can see better his cabanas down there, line bar. And so we need more of that. We need more locals here at Pinnies to make sure that our people are empowered. Have a blessed day.
Gentlemen, when you have land in your country and you have prime areas like that, as we have said a long time ago, those areas are reserved for the use by local people. And you have two restaurants already? Two? Is it 2 years? The same one?
Three.
Three already?
Yeah, you got Yasmin Grill, Queen City, and some place called Popo or some
Barefoot?
Barefoot, something so.
Yeah, but one
plus Yvette Klingit.
Oh, okay.
The problem here, gentlemen, is this. When I did that video on Monday, I did not yet have sight of the memorandum of transfer for the property that Queen City built. That property was sold at twice the value for that area. The land was owned by Mark Brantley and sold for $94.38 per square foot.
What?
When I checked with Inland Revenue said for that area, the average is $40 a square foot, with the highest top off at $50 a square foot.
$50 a square foot.
The question then is, why would the owners, the guys who want to develop this spot on the beach, why would they buy for twice the value from Mark Brantley? And why would Mark Brantley feel so confident that they will pay it? The $94.30 a square foot. Twice as much as the area going for.
Wow.
Something is not right. Something is not right. These guys are astute businessmen. They make the money. They know how to make money. They don't give away money unless you're looking at favor. If you're looking at favor, it's a different thing, because you're dealing with the premier of Nevis, who has the capacity to say yeah or no on your concessions, on whatever else you want. And so for them, it may make good business sense to pay what the man asks for. Because in the end, I have to come back to you to ask for a concession on this or concession on that, or to give me some break on this or break on that, or consider me, in any other aspect for my development and, economic well-being. Right? But this clearly smells of a quid pro quo arrangement. I can't describe it any other way, because why would anybody pay twice as much for it and then give them the right now to develop Pinnies when some of the divisions are ahead of you?
And it's the last piece.
It's the last piece?
The last piece.
See, Brantley can talk about me and Carlisle and Tulu. We should go sell Freco and sugar cake with coconut and all this nonsense. But what about the real money? We're not entitled to
small money.
A big money?
No.
Only sugar cake and Freco we could sell as divisions. That's how we see us. That we are simply to sell Freco and ice cream and sugar cake and black pudding. I mean, this is absurd. Absolutely absurd. But it is. Let's call it. Let's take this call. Good afternoon, you're on target.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Mm.
A long time the boy had the soupiness,
Mm.
And nobody has said nothing. No, nobody has said nothing. We just start to call him out. He's late. You should have been call out the man long time. We sit down here and let the man take our little hopes and turn it to fear. So we're afraid to defend what we have. We're afraid as a people to defend what belongs to us. Good afternoon.
Thank you, sir. So, we are, he can cuss and say, me and Tulu and Mark, and Tulu and Carlisle should open a Freco stand.
Sugar cake
stand. Sugar cake and coconut. Why you only say Tulu, Carlisle and Daily Sons are like a banger in mouth I'm going to give you this spot. Let me see. Let me see what you're going to do with it.
Put all your money where you
Put all your money where I'm out there.
Yeah, let me see. Give them that, and then go on the radio and say, you see them?
That will not happen.
I give them 3 activists piece of land down there to start something.
If they take away
let me see what they're going to do.
If they took away your farmland, they will give us a place there? No, man. That will not happen.
Prove us wrong.
To prove you're wrong.
He will never.
Let's take this call. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. You see the Freco card for here talk about? You think I don't need any Freco card? I need these people to talk to. Nothing of opinions belongs to I. Forget a Freco card. Go sell Freco. Good afternoon.
Wow.
There was another call coming in. He dropped out. So if you want to call back, you can do that. We almost finished here. But
so are you saying that...
Hold on. Good afternoon, you're on target.
Yeah, good afternoon, Daly and family.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, you see how he could use and cuss at you, and nobody in Evis say nothing? But the minute I come with the facts, that I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said this.
True.
But he could use, right? And put on the color glasses on them. And all is well with Nevis people. Nevis people need to stop being so one-sided. Stop being a hater for the man. What they do for this man got a spell on Nevis people.
Some of them.
You can't see.
Some of them.
He got a spell, you know. He got a spell, but God don't take it off, man, in the right time. You see what happened in Dominica? With the electoral reform? We need to get up and start to do something. We can't wait till the time.
Okay.
He got a lot of people cooking up. Because he realized, as Wheeler said, nobody a drive for him no more.
Nobody row for him anymore.
He losing. Nobody row, because he rowing getting smaller and smaller. He choked hurting, man. Karma gonna kill him.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right. Yeah.
All right. So Susie's saying, Daily, there's nothing wrong with a good Freco. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with honest living.
If he gave you the land down there, Kelly, and said, look, you must only sell Freco.
I wouldn't do that.
Okay. Maybe that's what you want.
I say what I want.
All right.
I determine my own
But
thing.
you want to determine what you
If I want to sell Freco, I sell Freco. But you're not going to tell me I should sell Freco, or black pudding, or sugar cake.
Sugar cake.
I find it very insulting. Very, very insulting. It has nothing to do with the honesty of living. It has to do with the fact that you only see us in a certain way.
Exactly. So it's
it's condescending.
The apartheid of South Africa?
No, it's condescending and insulting to say that these guys only go sell Freco.
So the whole thing is, he wants to make it seem that, we only... He actually said that, in particular me, that we are driving away investors. That Kelvin Daly from Princeton Street, Charlestown, Nevis, West Indies is driving away his investors.
Oh.
How? Because he said, I'm talking too much.
A democracy is a noisy.
I'm talking too much. But if I talk in the truth, who is afraid of the truth? People who are untruthful, bad-minded, devious, corrupt, fraudulent. They're the ones who are afraid of the truth. All right? And if you have an honest investor, they won't be afraid of the truth. All we are doing is using his words, using their correspondence and their everything to show the people what they're doing, They should not have a problem with that. If they're not ashamed of what they're doing, why are they saying that I running investors? Why are they saying that Tulu and Carlisle running investors? It's stupidness. Absolute rubbish.
No, just an excuse.
Anyway, folks, we are at the end. We are at the very end. And I do thank you in your numbers for staying the course. We gave you an extra half hour. I do apologize. We still have issues with our cameras. Hopefully one day we'll have enough money to buy a new set of cameras so we don't get frozen when you see us on the screens. So it's a work in progress. At least you can hear us. At least you can share with us the issues that are plaguing us here on Nevis. And I remind you, next week Saturday is the NRP St. Paul's breakfast. If you have donations to make, please do so.
Oh, we had breakfast this morning.
Yes, and remember Dr. Hodge will be on Issues on Wednesday, 1:30 on the Freedom FM on Think It. Please join in and have a conversation because I'm certain she'll have a lot to talk about. All right? We will see you next week, Saturday, same time, same station. God bless. Have a safe and blessed rest of your weekend. All right.
Oh, yeah, I have to.